Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the rose tutorial. I did go ahead and add a whole other layer, the same as what we did in the last tutorial. We did 2 layers on the background to try and block in as much of the surface of the paper as we could. And I felt like there was still a lot of the paper sort of coming through before, so I just did a 3rd layer as well. But now I am pretty much ready to go into to get into using the colored pencils, and I will So I think I want to work from left to right, so I'm going to use the Faber-Castell Polychromos Juniper Green number 165, and I will also put down a cellophane sheet just to protect my hand from rubbing all over it. And if you look at the reference, you can see just like little textures. So because these leaves are still blurry, we're not too worried about adding a lot of detail. We just want to add those highlights in there, because it shows you that there's water droplets on this leaf. So if we can just get those highlighted values right, then we'll be able to show the blurry version of the water droplets. We don't have to put any detail in there to know that it is a water droplet. So even though this is quite a dark green, it still comes out as quite a nice highlight. Over the top of the darker colors. Now usually when you use watercolor paper, it's not that easy to apply the lighter colors over the darker colors. But with sanded paper like this, you don't have to worry about slowly going darker and accidentally going too dark and then trying to figure out how you can lighten it up. You don't have to deal with that issue at all when you're using sanded paper. Okay, so now we just want to add a bit more variation in the color. I think I'd like to add a little bit of the earth green yellowish number 168 for those really bright sort of nice green highlights that we can see on some of the drops. And the edge of the leaf. And then using very little pressure, so I'm holding the back of my pencil so that I'm not using pressure, I'm just using literally the weight of the pencil, and then I'm going to slowly add in that value. Let me zoom in here a little. much as much detail as what you're going to need. So what you can do if you want to is you can take a sponge and you can just blend that in a little if you want it to look even softer. So I'm just taking the corner and just pretty much sort of dabbing it down. And then using the other one that we had to just spot in, because I got some of the extra Payne's grey on there, so I can just bring some of those darker bits back in between. And that's about all that we would really do for that leaf. And then I'll continue using the earth grey yellowish number 168 over here, just for like the very edge of the leaf at the top here. And then use pine green number 268. There we go, just add that texture. Now there's a reddish sort of section of a leaf over here, so I'm going to use my Mortuum number 169. And I'm not worried about using exact colors, I just want to sort of get a close-ish color. It doesn't have to be exactly the same for me. So if you want to get colors that are very closely matched, then I would recommend that you create color swatches. There's one little highlighted area on there, which I'm going to use the Venetian red number 190. Beautiful. While I've got this Venetian red, it seems like the perfect color to sort of incorporate over here. And then use a sponge to blend that smooth. I like that. Right, now let's do this leaf over here. And have some tea. Let's try some of the deep cobalt green number 158. Okay, so the deep cobalt green number 158. That's actually such a beautiful color, but it's too blue. It's too blue, we want more of a green. So we'll use the pine green number 267. Just go over that. So now these edges where we didn't quite get to hide the paper, we can at least use our pencil to fill in those extra pieces of paper texture that's coming through from the bottom. I'm just using some circular motions. And I think I'd like to use some of the Payne's Grey number 181. Just to create some depth and shadow. And then the chromium, no, not that one. The olive green yellowish number 173. The earth green yellowish 168. Great, and then I'm going to use that sponge again and just sort of dab it to soften up any pencil strokes. And then I'd like to use some of the Payne's Grey again, just the excess that I have on here. There we go. Okay. There's a subtle sort of little branch over here. That's just like that, that's it. And a nice tinge of the magenta 133. Beautiful. Okay, let's work on this leaf area here. So first we're going to focus on the back of it a little bit. So I'm going to use some of the Venetian red number 190. Some of the Bister, number 179. The Emerald Green 163. Pine Green 167. She's still the Pine Green. Cold Grey 6. No, 5. Cold Grey 5. I'm gonna define the leaf. Actually, I think I'm going to use black for that. So black 199. Now generally when I use black, I like to only use it if there's another color underneath, so that it blends with that color and it doesn't end up looking too flat. Okay, so this leaf actually comes down quite far. Great, so I'm going to clean this triangular sponge. And then I want to blend this black in so it's much softer and not quite as harsh. much better. And then I'll blend in the brown areas and the green here. And use the magenta again, 133. There's a nice little subtle hint of a flower petal over here. Beautiful. Pine green 267. Earth green yellowish 168. We're going to work on those water droplets. Burnt umber number 280. Some of the leftover Payne's grey on the sponge. in Pine Green 267. I feel like I want to make that area a bit bolder. Now, it's up to you just how far you want to go with the detailing of the leaves. You don't have to do too much, but because we're already on part 3, I don't know, we're on part 3 or part 4 of this. I'm not sure, but I'm using some of the white for the real important highlights. But just because I don't want to create too many tutorial videos out of this, I'm not going to go too detailed with the blurry background. And when I say too detailed, I'm not going to put too much attention into the blurry background. It can still use a lot more attention. So it's up to you how far you want to take it. I'm using a very light hand to help emphasize the highlights on the leaves and the droplets. Moving on to the side, you can use the magenta, bring out the brightness of these flower buds. I'm going to use some of the middle cadmium red to help make some of the blurry red areas here pop more. going to blend that in. If you want to soften up edges, then you can use a brush. Okay, so there is a big digger outside, so there's going to be a lot of noise here soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on my own, and pretty much what I did on the left side, I'm just going to continue doing that on the right side. There's actually not too much to do on the right side. These blurry leaves over here, I almost want to sort of just add a bit of color and then leave them. I won't be doing too much there because you can't really see too many spots or anything. So it's just this leaf where I'll add the sort of droplets and try and put in the subtle indication of the veins. And then that's it for the background. I'm sort of just going to leave the background like that, and then we can get into the rose in the next tutorial. Okay, so thanks guys for watching, and I guess there'll be a fourth part to this tutorial. See you guys next time. Bye.